of the Quincy shipyard, the USS Salem rests, a vessel whose steel hull whispers tales of the supernatural, where the past and present intertwine in eerie harmony. Welcome to True Navy Horror Stories, where we navigate through the spectral seas of naval legends and uncover the haunting truths that lie within. Join us as we delve into the chilling encounters aboard the USS Salem, exploring the ship's haunted corridors and the spirits that are said to linger. Laid down on July 4th, 1945, by the Bethlehem Steel Company in Quincy, Massachusetts, the USS Salem CA-139 was launched on March 25, 1947, and commissioned into service on May 14, 1949, under the command of Captain John C. Daniel. As a Des Moines-class heavy cruiser, she displaced approximately 17,000 tons and measured 716 feet in length. The Salem was equipped with 9 8-inch/55 caliber guns, 12 5-inch/38 caliber guns, and a variety of anti-aircraft artillery, embodying the pinnacle of mid-20th century naval firepower. During her active service, the USS Salem operated primarily in the Atlantic and Mediterranean theaters. She served as the flagship for the U.S. 6th Fleet in the Mediterranean, participating in numerous naval exercises and showing a formidable American naval presence during the early years of the Cold War. In August 1953, a devastating series of earthquakes struck the Ionian Islands of Greece, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. The USS Salem was the first American ship to arrive on the scene, providing critical humanitarian assistance. Her crew delivered medical supplies, food and water, and assisted in rescue operations, exemplifying the Navy's commitment to humanitarian aid. After a decade of service, the USS Salem was decommissioned on January 30, 1959, and entered the Naval Inactive Ship Maintenance Facility in Philadelphia. She remained in reserve until July 1991, when she was stricken from the Naval Vessel Register. In October 1994, the Salem returned to Quincy, Massachusetts, where she was opened to the public as a museum ship, serving as the centerpiece of the United States Naval Shipbuilding Museum. Today, visitors can explore her decks and corridors, gaining insight into naval history and the experiences of those who served aboard. Over the years, visitors and staff aboard the USS Salem have recounted chilling encounters that defy explanation. Disembodied voices echo through the ship's empty corridors, their faint murmurs seemingly carried by an unseen wind. Sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature leave those who walk the decks shivering, even on the warmest summer days. Shadowy figures, fleeting and elusive, have been glimpsed out of the corner of the eye, always just beyond reach, as if they exist on the edges of perception. One particularly unsettling story comes from the ship's infirmary, a place steeped in the memories of pain and healing. A visitor reported feeling an unseen hand firmly grasp their shoulder, sending waves of panic through their body. Startled, they turned, expecting to see someone, but the room was empty. This was not an isolated experience. Others have described hearing the faint cries of anguish and the echo of hurried footsteps, as if the infirmary's past has left a lingering, ghostly imprint. The ship itself seems to amplify these eerie occurrences. Dimly lit passageways stretch endlessly into shadow, their walls lined with cold steel that amplifies every sound. The subtle creaks and groans of the aging structure fill the silence, creating an oppressive sense of unease. As the wind rattles through the portholes and the distant sound of waves lapping against the hull echoes faintly, one cannot help but feel as though the USS Salem is alive, watching, waiting, and whispering secrets of the past to those brave enough to listen. As the years went on, the USS Salem became a hotbed for paranormal activity. Visitors and staff alike began reporting encounters that were no longer fleeting or subtle. Full-bodied apparitions, once a rarity, were now being seen with unsettling frequency. Among the most infamous sightings is that of a sailor in uniform, his figure often spotted patrolling the decks as if still on duty. Witnesses describe his expression as stoic, his gaze fixed ahead, disappearing into thin air before anyone could approach him. Some speculate he may have been one of the crew members who served aboard the Salem during her years of active duty, still tethered to the ship in the afterlife. These encounters turned the ship from a historical artifact into a legend of the supernatural. The rising reports of hauntings drew the attention of paranormal investigators from around the world. One of the most notable investigations was conducted by the renowned team from the television series Ghost Hunters. Armed with thermal cameras, digital recorders, and electromagnetic field detectors, they combed through the Salem's darkened corridors, seeking evidence of the unexplained. What they captured was chilling. Phantom voices responding to their questions, shadowy figures darting in and out of view, and unexplainable temperature anomalies that seemed to move with intent. These findings aired on national television, further cementing the USS Salem's reputation as one of the most haunted ships in the United States. It became a beacon for those who sought proof of the paranormal, adding a new chapter to the ship's storied history. Amidst the investigations and public intrigue, personal stories from those with deep ties to the ship began to emerge. One former crew member recounted an experience that still haunts him to this day. While performing routine checks late one night, he heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps following him through the engine room. Turning around, expecting to see a colleague, he found only darkness. The footsteps ceased as abruptly as they had started, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. He later shared that the sensation wasn't just auditory. He could feel the weight of eyes on him, an oppressive presence that seemed to linger long after he left the room. Stories like his raise unsettling questions about the ship's spectral inhabitants and the possibility that the USS Salem is not only a monument to naval history, but a resting place for spirits unable or unwilling to move on. Years of investigations have yielded intriguing evidence, but the truth behind the USS Salem's hauntings remains a mystery. Paranormal researchers continue to be drawn to the ship, intrigued by the abundance of unexplained phenomena, from shadowy figures to disembodied voices and inexplicable temperature shifts. The ship offers no shortage of eerie encounters. Yet, despite the advances in technology and countless hours of analysis, the source of these supernatural occurrences eludes explanation. Is it the lingering energy of the ship's storied past, or something far more sinister? For now, the USS Salem remains an enigma, a vessel that guards its secrets as fiercely as it once defended its fleet. Recognizing the fascination surrounding its haunted history, the USS Salem has embraced its spectral reputation. Guided paranormal tours now allow visitors to walk in the footsteps of investigators, exploring the ship's most haunted locations. Guests report feeling chills in the infirmary, hearing whispers in the mess hall, and seeing fleeting shadows in the engine room. These tours offer a unique blend of naval heritage and ghostly intrigue, allowing the public to experience firsthand the stories that have made the USS Salem a legend. For thrill seekers and history buffs alike, the ship serves as a portal to a world where history and the supernatural collide. As a museum ship, The USS Salem holds an irreplaceable place in naval history. Her decks tell the story of a bygone era of military might and humanitarian service. Yet, her haunted reputation has added a new dimension to her preservation. Visitors are drawn not only by her historical significance, but by the allure of the unexplained. This dual identity has ensured her continued relevance, attracting funding and interest that safeguard her legacy. Today, the USS Salem stands as a testament to the power of storytelling, both historical and paranormal, a silent sentinel that continues to captivate all who cross her threshold. The paranormal activity aboard the USS Salem may have its roots in the ship's storied past. For decades, it was a vessel of both conflict and compassion, witnessing moments of both triumph and tragedy. Some theorize that the ship's very structure absorbs and retains emotional energy, particularly from intense human experiences. This residual energy may manifest as what many interpret as hauntings. The cries heard in the infirmary, the shadowy figures seen in the passageways. Could these be echoes of sailors who once called the Salem home? Or are they fragments of moments imprinted on the ship, replaying like a broken record? The USS Salem's history seems to offer fertile ground for such theories. The USS Salem is not alone in its spectral reputation. Across the globe, other decommissioned naval vessels share similar stories. The USS Hornet, docked in Alameda, California, is set to host apparitions of former crew members. The RMS Queen Mary, permanently moored in Long Beach, California, has become famous for its ghostly encounters in the engine room and swimming pool. Maritime hauntings appear to be a common thread among ships with long service histories, suggesting that the isolation, danger, and emotional intensity of life at sea leave a lasting impression, not just on those who serve, but on the vessels themselves. Could it be that ships like the USS Salem are not just tools of war, but also vessels of memory, carrying the weight of their pasts into the present? While the supernatural theories are compelling, there is also a psychological dimension to consider. The USS Salem's environment, with its confined spaces, dim lighting, and echoing corridors, creates a setting ripe for heightened suggestibility. Visitors stepping aboard, already primed to experience something paranormal, may interpret ordinary sounds or movements as ghostly encounters. The presence of historical artifacts, such as uniforms and tools once used by the crew, adds another layer of emotional context, making it easy for the mind to fill in gaps with imagined phenomena. However, this psychological perspective does not necessarily diminish the stories. It merely provides an alternative lens through which we can examine the Salem's enduring mystique. Have you ever visited the USS Salem or experienced something unexplainable aboard a historic vessel? Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences could help uncover more pieces of this haunting puzzle. And if you enjoyed this journey through the eerie corridors of naval history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to True Navy Horror Stories for more chilling tales from the deep. Remember, the sea holds many secrets, and sometimes, the past isn't as distant as it seems. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay curious and stay brave.